Hotel. I'm right here by the airport outside of Philadelphia with Jesse Hart at the Bozdek versus Beterbiev weigh-in. Got a few questions for you. Now, first, it's been a while. When are you back?
We back in January. Still working out logistics. Well, it was complication after the Barrera fight. I hurt my hand, so we had to
broke your hand.
Hurt my hand, not broke it.
Okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean? Little ligaments in there was a little messed up, so everything healed up, and that's why y'all didn't see me on this card here tonight because.
So you were supposed to be on this, but it did.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I had to heal up, and now that I'll be back in January, and I'll be starting fresh, and I feel wonderful.
So when fighters get hand injuries, usually it's sometimes that it lingers on. Is your hand fully 100%?
100% now. 100%. Sometimes you need rest, and sometimes during training camp, people don't realize the type of stress that you put on your wear and tear that you put on your body. So you have to be able to rest these bones and rest your body, because what I was told by one of the best doctors in the world, rest is the most important thing to an athlete that's always training 6 days a week.
Okay, so let's just jump right into things. Bozdek versus Beterbiev. Now, it's starting to look like people are starting to sway toward Bozdek, even though he lost to Beterbiev twice in the amateurs. But it is the amateurs, so people starting to feel, from my understanding from, gauging social media, people starting to think that Bozdek has a chance to possibly outbox Beterbiev. What are your thoughts on the fight overall, and who are you rooting for? Well, who would you rather face, or who are you rooting for?
Well, I want to face the guy who's the scarier opponent, and the scarier guy is Beterbiev with the punching ability. Bozdek, he struggled a little bit with Stevenson. Older Stevenson, just a little bit, just a tad bit before he got that shot in. It was like he was trying to fill him out, and I understand that Stevenson is on the opposite side, he's on that southpaw side. There's different things that I think that Bozdek have to do to neutralize the power, the punching ability that Beterbiev had. And if Bozdek can't do that, I believe that later in the fight, somewhere later down the line, Beterbiev will catch up to him.
So you think Bozdek would have to rely more on movement,
in and out, boxing ability, knowing how to get past the 6th and 7th round. I think once you get Beterbiev past the 7th, 8th round, I think he'll be in no man's land. And no man's land is unknown charted territory. It all goes back to Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. George Foreman was in uncharted territory in round 8. He knocked everybody out. He was knocking people out. He was knocking people senseless. So you got to get Beterbiev in uncharted territory to see how his body responds and how he reacts. And I believe if Bozdek get him in them later rounds, the kid got 14 fights, 14 knockouts. There's no mystery he can punch. He hasn't been in round 10, 11, 12, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He ain't been there yet. It's still a question mark on him, and people always say, well, I perform this, I perform that. Punching ability fades in them rounds. You have to, also the human body, it neutralizes itself. You're sweating, you're moving, you're tired. The special guys with real power, and I'm saying special, carry over in the later rounds because that's all he had. That's all he relied on their whole career. This kid Beterbiev, he did beat Bozdek in the amateurs, but we are in the pros. It's 9, 10, 11, and 12 rounds. And he going 12 tomorrow. If he in uncharted territory, we got to see how he responds. Bozdek's been there. Bozdek's been there. He ain't have knockouts on his whole career. So he tasted a little bit of the 9th round or 10th, 11th. He tasted a little bit of it. This kid hasn't, so we got to see how Beterbiev performs.
Okay, so here's my thoughts. You got Canelo versus Kovalev. Now, that fight is like less than 3 weeks away. It's basically here.
Right.
Now, in my theory, if Canelo was to win, for some reason people think he's the favorite because they think he can get to Kovalev's body. But my theory is he's going to have some issues getting past that jab and the power. But my question to you is, do you feel that Canelo, if he were to win against Sergey Kovalev, I feel, wouldn't it hold up possibly an undisputed champion in light heavyweight? Because Canelo, if he were to win, he could bring those politics in. Even though he can bring in money, he could possibly bring those politics in. I just want your overall thoughts on the fight.
My fight, on the fight, not the politics of it. I believe Kovalev is where his age is starting to show. And with that fight with Yardy, that age really, he got hurt. If it wasn't for them later rounds, uncharted territory, again, I goes back to. Yardy was uncharted territory. He didn't know how his body would respond. We didn't know how his body would respond.
You mean Yard?
Yes,
Okay.
Yard. We didn't know how Yard body would respond. He didn't know how his body would respond because he was never there. Then we talking about a kid who didn't spar. We talking about a kid who doesn't even goes by the true regimen of training. We talking about a kid whose body never been near death. In training, you got to bring your body near death at least once or twice in the training camp. You got to bring it, you got to feel that. And with that fight symbolizing me was, if it hadn't been for the later rounds, Kovalev would have been in trouble. That fight was going pretty much Yardy regiment.
But the experience showed up later
Experience showed up, and the response of that 10th, 11th, 9th, 10th, 11th rounds showed up where Yardy wasn't there. His body never had to perform at that level.
Especially with no sparring.
Yes, at that level in them later rounds. It's totally different. And that's what I mean. That's a prime example of Beterbiev. Mm-hmm. Can his body perform in those rounds as it did with the guy that fought Marcus Brown that he knocked out? In the later rounds, can that carry over? Because you're going to get frustrated. Because it's not going to go your way. It's going to be uncomfortable. So we gotta just see.
Okay. The other light heavyweight, Dmitry Bivol. Now he's over on the zone, but because he's with Main Event, boxing Kathy Duvas, he does have the ability to switch networks. What do you think about him overall in the mix at 175?
I like Bivol. I was high on Bivol at one point in time, but that fight with Joe Smith, where he got caught in later rounds, I took a little bit of credibility away because, to me, a fighter should never go to sleep in there. A fighter should always hold his discipline and be very, very sharp and alert through the whole fight way. He lost a lot of cool points doing that when he got caught. You saw, if you watched the fight, he got caught in later rounds with Joe Smith. And that punch that he got caught with was bad. He was hurt. You seen him. Yeah, so at the end of the day, I thought a guy like that, he's starting to get hit a little bit more. And now we got to see what his angle is in a boxing game, meaning where does the media rank him and where his skill level at? It's two different completely things. Yes, he's WBA champ, but his skill level is not. It doesn't scream championship caliber to myself, to me, if you're asking me about that championship level. A guy like that wasn't supposed to get caught to me by a guy like Joe Smith, and I'm not taking nothing away from Joe Smith, but I seen the shots watching it from a mile away. He got caught because we went to sleep in there.
Okay, final question. Now, you already said you're returning in January.
Right.
So, what are the names that you're looking at?
We're looking at a lot of different names. Possibly, Elder Alvarez again, if that, but Joe Smith. And Joe Smith is a fight that I really want because, and I tell everybody this, he did something to the little boy in me with that Bernard Hopkins fight. And people don't understand how man-close Bernard Hopkins is. And I want to put this up on camera and show you, because that hurt me. That fight hurt the little kid, the 11-year-old kid that Bernard Hopkins inspired. He inspired an 11-year-old kid with hopes at the time.
So it's a revenge fight if it does happen.
This is the picture right here, man.
Yeah.
I was 11 years old, Bernard holding on my arm. This is the fight. This is the tournament here in Philadelphia called the Lucian Blackwell tournament I won. And Bernard, this little boy is hurt. So people say, Ramirez, are you chasing? I'm not chasing Ramirez. I really wanted to fight Joe Smith. And I was asking Top Rank, can they make that fight happen? And I think that's the only fight now that really matters to me more than a title, because everybody have when they look at a person, they feel that feeling comes back of being a little kid. When I looked at Bernard Hopkins in that fight, I cried that night that happened, because I don't think Bernard deserved to go out like that. He fought his way to the top. I mean, from the penitentiary, from the depths of hell, from the depths of North Philadelphia, where I'm from, and I think that's the fight that I wanted at light heavyweight more than anything. I mean, if anybody knows me, they know that Bernard Hopkins was was a hell of an inspiration to my life, not only to my boxing career, but to my life. Where he came from the same area of poverty that I came from. He came from the penitentiary. Like, that wasn't supposed to be done. So not only for myself, I want Joe Smith to do the same thing to me now. I want to test Joe Smith. That's the fight I want, if you ask me.
Okay, well, let's hope they get that done for you in January. So, of course, we're going to see you tomorrow at the fight.
Absolutely.
One more final question. So, right now, do you think that this is the biggest fight in Philly in God knows how? I can't even remember. Like, in regards to, like, unification. I mean, the David Garcia-Vargas fight, it was big in regards to crowd.
Yeah, well, I think this is the biggest fight. You got two guys fighting each other for a unification match in Philadelphia. Two of the bigger names. One guy got all knockouts. One guy's a dynamic individual inside the ring. He took the crown from Stevenson, who was the champion. So I think this is the biggest fight in Philadelphia as of right now, this year. I say in the last 5 years, this is the biggest fight in Philadelphia.